Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dion. This is the Crazy True Nation of YouTube. We start here with chapstick. Today is March 29th. I don't know when this is going to be uploaded. This is, but I do know it'll be on a Sunday, and you'll know because you're watching it on whatever day it's uploaded. But this is part of my how-to series. I am so freaking sorry. Listen, this is the Crazy Troll Nation. That's part of the crazy. I just jump in and forget I got an intro to do. And a troll because there is no such thing except to say you're not a troll, because there is no such thing. Regardless of what the beauty community may say, regardless of people saying you need to use this product, you need to apply it this way, you need to use this tool, or you're not doing it right. No, you're not a troll. You are beautiful inside and out. Embrace your natural features and handsome if you want to. We love playing in face paint, but try not to fall into thinking you need to fit into somebody else's standards or expectations of what they think you should look like or what you should use or how you should use it. That's the concept of the Crazy Troll Nation. Is just self-acceptance, self-love, wearing what you want to wear and rocking it with confidence. And now I will show you what else we do here on this channel. Okay, so now that I fumbled through all of that, this video is about how to not be overwhelmed with larger palettes. And larger palettes, I mean palettes that I did not pull out to even show you an example. Palettes that are more than maybe like 10 shades. An example would be the Scott Barnes. How many shades is this? This is 20 shades. Or another perfect example was the ColourPop, like the Cold Stone, or like the Jaclyn Hill or the Morphe palettes, when you have like 20 shades. I think there's a palette out now and it's like 42 shades. And when I first started my makeup journey, I would look at those palettes and be like, what? I'm sorry, I do curse on my channel sometimes. I was about to, and that's what reminded me to tell you that I do. I was like, what the hell am I gonna do with all them shades? Like I would just look at it and just be like, and so I wouldn't buy it. Or if I did buy it, I would get home and be like, what do I do with it? Like, I had no idea. And so along my makeup journey, I would try different things. And something that I used to do a lot is if I saw a look with a palette that I liked on YouTube, I would try to recreate that look if I had that palette. But I've since realized you don't have to have that palette. You can just do similar colors. And there were some channels I used to watch back in the day where they didn't even say what palette. They would be like, take a pale pink and put it here, and then take a lime green and put it here, and then take a deep chocolate brown and put it here, or put like a sparkly purple here. And that was helpful to me because it was more about the colors and not about the brand. Where now it's like, you need Natasha Denona. I love her formula, except the Chroma Crystals, but I do not be like, you need to have that palette. Or some things is all about Pat McGrath and the Celestial shades, or it's all about, you know, this indie brand's multi-chrome versus it just being about the color. And so I actually do miss those days when it was about the color and not about a particular brand. Anyway, I just went on a rant. Sorry, not sorry. So I would look at the larger palettes, meaning over like 10 shades, and I wouldn't know what to do with it. And I was watching a video from Natasha Denona, and she was explaining why she designs her palettes the way she does. And it helped me. We are looking at the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. Not these two, and this one I popped out. Everything else is as was when I purchased it. So what she was saying was she designed her palettes where you can do looks in quads, you can do looks in rows, you can do looks in diagonals, you can do looks in columns, and I'm going to show you what I mean. And I showed it, well, I showed an example of this with the Biba palette, and I'm going to show you that again because a few people commented saying, wow, thank you for showing me the different quads in that palette. And so what she was saying was, if you look at this palette, let me move some stuff here so I can have more elbow room before I drop stuff. If you look at this palette, this can be a quad, this right here. And you can just put the blue either as a liner on your upper lash line or your lower lash line. The same with here. Easy breezy look, and you can smoke out the outer corner with that one, or use that for your liner shade. You can do, well, I popped this out. I think this was like similar to this color of gold. This could have been a little quad. This can be a quad. This can be, you know, first half of the lid, second half of the lid, inner corner, lower lash line. This can be a little quad if you want to go a little deeper. This can be a grungy little quad, even pulling in this shade here. These three up here in this one, that could be a look. This can be a look, this quad right here. This little quad neutral with a pop of blue. These four right here. And looking at rows, monochromatic, do that row. This can even be monochromatic. If this is your lid, smoke out your outer corner, this can be your inner corner. This can be lower lash line. This can be a nice monochromatic everyday look. This right here, put this on your lid, deep and outer corner, lower lash line, or a brow bone highlight depending on your skin tone. This right here, that can be a look. This right here, that row can be a look. If you want to go rows, do these three, that can be a look. 1, 2, 3, that's a look. Put this on your inner corner, put this on the lid, put this on lower lash line, that's a look. Same over here, these three, that's a look. So you see where I'm going with this, right? And also she said diagonals. So looking at this palette, this shade, lid maybe, inner corner if you want to, lower lash line. So that diagonal, that can be a look. These two right here, these are neutral shades. And then you have these two dark shades. These can be liners or lower lash line. These can be on your lid. These four right here I'm talking about. This right here, this shade, this one, diagonal, this one, that's a look. If you want to do a brighter diagonal, this shade, that shade, that shade, that shade. These three right here, well, these four, this is a look. These three, that's a look. So when you're looking at palettes, and when she explained it, I was just like, whoa. And it wasn't even with this palette, but when she said she designed them where you can do quads or columns or rows, it changed how I looked at palettes. Now, if you have an all monochromatic palette, this may not work because you're not going to have like the little pops or, you know, the deep colors or things like that. But that changed how I looked at palettes. This is 28 shades. And I have used this entire palette, and I do have a playlist with different looks that I've done with this palette. And so I wanted to share this with you because it helped me not be overwhelmed with something over like 10 or 15 shades, because it stuck with me when she said how she designs her palettes. Now that's just her, so it doesn't go for anybody. But what I'm going to show you is, silly me for putting it away, the Scott Barnes Color Bomb palette that I showed you earlier. This is what that looks like. And I did do some looks in columns, I'm going to say rows. And then I did do some in quads, or I have it on my list to do in quads. But this can be monochromatic, put the black as a liner. This is definitely monochromatic. This was a pigment, which was the same exact shade on my lid as this one. And since my eyes don't tolerate pigments, I popped it out and put nail polish in it just to make the color look like it belonged there. But this is a monochromatic look. This is monochromatic. This is a really simple look right here. And also looking at this, here's a quad. Here's a quad. Here's a quad. This is a nice, pretty quad. Nice, everyday, neutral, barely there quad. Here's another quad. You can do this one, well, minus that one, so you would just need to substitute a purple. This can be a nice little quad if you want to be colorful. This can be a nice little quad using this shade as an eyeliner. And so it helped me. And even diagonal, if you want to be funky, this shade, this one, pop this on your lower lash line. You want to be a little bold, even though this is not like a really bold color. But this shade and this one, put this on your lower lash line. So you can put this on your lid, buff it out with this, and put this on your lower lash line. So you can just look at it, and even this way, you got the green, you got the blue, you got a purple and the pink. That can be a look. You see what I'm saying? And so I just wanted to show you this because I just imagine I'm not the only one who looks at palettes, and this is a 20 pan palette, who looks at palettes larger than these or larger than a 28 pan Metropolis, and it's just like, what the hell do I do with this? And I'm going to show you Biba again because I didn't realize it was helpful until I started reading the comments, and they're like, oh, thank you for showing us the different quads. And I'm just like, what? And so, but this is Biba. And I do have a playlist with this, and I believe I did rows and columns just to show you how easy it is to use. But you can do a look in rows. And again, this is Natasha Denona, so she designed it that way. This is a quad. Here's a little quad. This is a quad. This is a quad. This is a quad. This is a nice, pretty quad. This is an everyday, for those of you who do everyday or date night or whatever type of looks. This is a really easy quad. This can be your liner shade. And you can also, I think I did say you can do columns already. That's a nice column. So I'm hoping that this is helpful. I do believe that is all that I was going to say about this. Oh, I was going to say one more thing. And I mentioned earlier, it doesn't work if the entire palette is monochromatic. And I've seen videos like something like Circle Loco. And even with this one, I still see looks in here. These three together are beautiful. These shades right here, it looks funky, but this can make a gorgeous look. Of course, these shades here make a beautiful look. This is a nice little fun look. This is a fun palette. And so when I get a palette, I leave it the way it is because I remember Natasha saying she places shades in certain places for a reason. This is a dual chrome, but it works really nice with the purples. So I understand why that's there. This is a multi-chrome. This works really well next to this one and this one and this blue. So that's why this is here. So I'm looking at it, remembering what she said, and I'm like, it makes sense. And I know there are some people who rearrange their palettes and they make it where each row is monochromatic. That doesn't work for me because sometimes I have issues with color perception. And so I'll look at it and be like, okay, now what do I do with this? Because all the colors kind of look the same. And then I'm like, why do I want a palette where I have 5 shades in a row and they all look the same? So then I'm like, what do I do with that? What kind of look do I create with that? And so it doesn't help me to have monochromatic palettes because I don't consider myself a creative person as far as eyeshadow looks. But when everything is monochromatic, it's hard for me to think, oh, what can I do to make this different? And yes, you can do smoky, you can do neutral, you can do halo eye. But for me, when I look at a monochromatic palette, I'm just like, it's not inspiring to me. It's boring to me. I'm not downing anybody. And I do know for a lot of people, it makes sense when all the rows are gradients toward a deeper shade. And so it depends on how your mind works. It depends on what your eyes see when you see color and when you see palettes. And one thing I thought about was when Makeup Geek, when she did her palettes, the matrix system, everything was monochromatic in rows. Well, no, I think it was in columns. Everything was monochromatic in columns. I'm going to use this as an example, even though it wasn't this one. So everything was monochromatic in columns, in different formulas as well. And she designed it that way. She explained it how you can take any shade from this column and any shade from this column, any shade from this one, any shade from this one, and make a look. So she designed it that way where just pick one shade from each column and do a look. And it made sense. But when I saw her palette, all I saw was just a gradient of color and it wasn't inspiring to me. But for a lot of people, it worked. And so again, it's just about how you perceive color and what you see. Because when I see monochromatic, all I see is basically just that one shade. And even though there's a gradient, my mind is still saying, this is an all pink palette, even though it might be pale pink, bubblegum pink, cotton candy pink, all the way to magenta. But my eye just sees pink. So I'm like, what am I going to do with like 10 pink shadows in this palette? But that's what my eyes see. And again, sometimes I do have issue with color perception. And so it's just about, and I know I'm repeating myself and I'm sorry, it's just about how your eye perceives color and also how creative you are. And if you have a palette like this, or Scott Barnes, or Circle Loco, excuse me, just look at it in quads, look at it in diagonals, look at it in rows, look at it in columns, and find looks that way. And if all else fails, do a palette bingo. Let a random generator choose the colors for you, and then you just make it into a look. And so I hope this was helpful. Let me know if it was. And for almost every palette that I do have a playlist for, and I do looks and rows and in columns just to give you ideas of what you can do with it. And I usually start out doing monochromatic looks with the palette because it is really hard to mess up a monochromatic look because all the colors just gradients and they just blend into each other. And so that's the easiest thing to do if you're not sure what to do with the palette, is just do a monochromatic look until you get a feel for what else you can do. Let me know if this was helpful. I appreciate you being here. Thank you to my new subscribers, my ride or dies. I adore you. I appreciate you. Thank all of you for watching, and you will see me in the next video. Question: when you get palettes, do you rearrange them into monochromatic rows? That's what I would like to know. I know a lot of people do. I don't. It doesn't work for me. But I understand it is helpful to a lot of people. So let me know if you rearrange palettes. Yeah, we're going to end this here. Thank you. You will see me in the next one.